we're back here at the AMA Vintage Days. Last year I bought this bike at the Swamp Meet and then went racing and I broke it. So we've had a full engine rebuild on this bike. I borrowed a trials bike and then we're going to take part in the hare scrambles, the motocross, the trials and also some road racing. Let's get to it. It was going to be a busy 3 days of racing. And first up was the hare scrambles on my freshly rebuilt 1978 KTM 250. Now thanks to Chicago Jerry, his son PJ and Skid Mark's garage, the bike was back running again. All I had to do now was mix some gas, gear up, and then get down to the start line. In my mind beforehand, I'd envisaged a pleasant ride through the trees, but this plan quickly vanished when I saw hundreds of racers all lamped up and raring to go. Due to my machine's age, I was the second line of bikes to start, which literally left hundreds of racers right behind me. Talk about a petrifying start. But before I could worry too much, it was time to warm up our two-stroke engines and get ready for the start. With one hand on our heads, we watched for the flag to drop. And when it did, it was go, into gear and then gas it. The chasing pack were hot on our heels, some making better starts than others. After a short series of turns off the start line, it was then into the trees for a 3-mile loop of madness. At first things seemed to be going well, and then, oh no, the bike stopped. As riders just flew past, all I could do was kick, 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 and just hope it would start. And eventually it did, but it wasn't long before it stopped again, and more riders just swarmed past. After more kicking, a little bit of riding, stopping and more kicking, a bit more riding, some crashing, more kicking and just generally lots of mechanical troubles, I finished the first lap, which honestly seemed to last forever. Lap 2 wasn't any different, in fact it was probably worse, and I was just getting more and more exhausted every time the engine stopped, as I had to kick it many times just to start it. In all honesty, I've no idea why I even attempted lap 3, but after much of the same, more stopping and lots of kicking, and then some crashing, the KTM finally stopped on a steep hill and I caused a pile-up. Now my stricken bike was used as traction and this eventually caused a snap chain. But thankfully, now my hare scrambles race was over, but I was left exhausted from all that kicking, crashing and the grueling 3-mile course. This was hardly the gentle morning ride through the trees I'd been hoping for. That was the hare scrambles. Unfortunately my chain snapped on the 3rd lap and I was kicking it all the time, so I'm absolutely exhausted. the first event on the first morning of 3, and my bike is in the woods somewhere with a snap chain. I need to go and rescue that and then quickly get to the road racing. Get my leathers on. But thanks again to PJ and Skidmark's garage, my vintage motocross bike got rescued from the woods while I got changed out of my motocross gear. So we're done with the air scrambles. Now I've gone from motocross gear to road racing gear. I'm here in front of a 1970 BMW and we're going to get out on track for a look around. Practice today, race tomorrow. Fantastic. Before practice got underway, I took some tips from the owner, who told me not to worry if the engine scrapes on the ground, as he's done it many times before. With that in mind, it was then leathers and helmet on, and then time to check out the Mid-Ohio racecourse. It was a flowing track with plenty of corners, and it was just great to familiarise myself with the racetrack and the vintage BMW's quirky characteristics before tomorrow's race. But now, let's get back to the Skidmark's garage and see if I can fix my KTM in time for the motocross race tomorrow morning. Now with the bike on the bench, I could take some time to diagnose a problem and also fix a few other issues. It appeared as though the carburetor was flooding and giving the engine way too much fuel. But thankfully, PJ was here to help me and had some ideas on how to fix it, even though we had no spare parts. As we scratched our heads in the garage, the Pit Bike Challenge race kicked off for all to enjoy. Small bikes ridden by big guys with huge egos. It's always an entertaining combination. Loads of fun was had, as well as lots of smiles to end day one. For day 2, it was first down to the motocross track with my problematic vintage KTM for a morning of dirt biking. And it's mental, it's so much fun. Race 1's on the line right now. I'm race 2, let's go racing, can't wait. Down here the atmosphere was just electric, as there were hundreds of riders. It was great to see so many old motocross machines from the 60s, 70s and 80s out on track. Oh, and that smell of two-stroke fumes, it's always a favourite. Unfortunately yesterday my bike kept stopping, mainly due to the low revs going through the trees. But motocross is more wide open, so I was hoping for a better showing today. After a successful practice, where my engine didn't even stop once, things were off to a great start. All I need to do now is gas up and get down to the start line. It had been a while since I'd raced motocross, but here goes. Oh, not the best start. I was mired mid-pack, but my machine was feeling strong, and with each lap I started to feel more comfortable and began to chase a few guys in front. was a fun race and definitely worth putting in the effort when I finally passed another rider on the last lap, eventually finishing the race in 7th.
So we just got done with the motocross. That was so much fun. The bike actually ran really well, so thank you to Chicago Jerry and PJ, Skip Mark Garage. Did a lot of work yesterday getting his bike prepped. Now let's get out of this motocross gear, get across to the road racing, get on that BMW, and we're actually going to race it today, so can't wait for that. Let's go.
Before heading off, I managed to watch a few more races, and it was just fantastic to see the kids. Because this is where it all starts. Kids, fun and motorbikes. I applaud every parent and child here. Just fantastic. More vintage motocross classes blasted off throughout the day as they put on a brilliant display of racing. It was great to be a part of it, and well done to everyone involved. For the afternoon, I then headed over to the road racing track and swapped my dirt biking gear for a leather suit and a full-faced helmet. Now I headed out on track to race a 1970 BMW. I was hoping for a good start as I was placed well down the grid, but check out the guy to my right. It wasn't a bad first lap as I carved my way past a few riders, but once into 4th, the leaders were long gone and circulating at a much faster pace. So after a rather frantic start, it was then onto a lonely but very enjoyable ride to the flag.
We just got done with the road racing. That's race number 2 on Saturday, and the BMW R75 1970 was brilliant. I had an absolute hoot on that. It's got loads of torque, not a lot of horsepower, less than 40 apparently, but still a lot of fun. Those super skinny tyres made it an interesting ride. Last year I bought the KTM at the swap meet. There's gems all over that place, so with hours to spare, let's get to the swap meet and see what's there. So we're back at the swap meet. Now this is the place last year I bought my KTM motocross bike. This year, however, I'm just going to be browsing around and dreaming, I suppose. So behind me, we've got all kinds of motocross bikes. 60s, 70s, 80s, all kinds of beautiful stuff. It's like a kid in a sweet shop for me. I love my old motorbikes. And here we've got hundreds of vendors, all selling a bunch of motorcycle parts and complete motorcycles. So let's go and take a look around and see what's available. This gentleman here, this is his bike. It's a 1968 BSA, and there's only 4 of them brought into all of America. It's priced up right now at $15,000. Gorgeous and very, very rare. And it's a BSA, so my dad would approve. So 1965 Ducati all the way from Italy. We find it here in Lexington, Ohio. $450. Would it be a bargain? I think it is. Do you buy something like this and rebuild it? If you're a brave man, you would. So this company is called Yankee. They're part of Osset, but it's all American, 100%. This gentleman's basically telling me that they were specially made for flat track. I might be getting some of this wrong. I'm sure my viewers in the comments will let me know. Very special bike. These are real flat trackers. Here we have a Yamaha TY80. Now this is what I started to ride on when I was a kid. I mean, your kid doesn't need to be on computer games all the time. Buy him a motorbike. Now this is a three-wheeled motorcycle. But back in the 80s they made these things with three wheels, and to be honest with you, they're a bit of a death trap. Lots of fun apparently, until you crash. So this is a 1995 BMW 1100. The suspension pivots right here from the back of the engine. And the shock is in there. Look at this thing. This is special. 1 year manufacture only, fully restored. The engine is literally in the back wheel. And if you run out of gas, it's got some pedals. Harley Davidsons are really renowned these days for cruisers, big baggers, cruising across the country. It's not what they used to make. They used to make some real small, lightweight, fun motorcycles, just like this one. Isn't this perfect? We're here at the Ohio Valley BSA Owners Club. Incredibly, they're going to give this bike away in less than 30 days. Someone is going to win this bike. I wish it was me. This is a racing sidecar. Could you imagine being a passenger and hanging out like that around the corner? It's completely nuts. Come on, get on the back. I think I can take at least 10. Get on the back. There you have it, that's a swap meet. Loads of vintage motorcycles here, loads of parts. If you had cash in your pocket and you were looking for something particular, you can find it here. I wish I could buy loads of these bikes, but that would mean I'd have more projects in my garage that probably never get finished. Anyway, it's a treasure trove to any key motorcyclist, so if you like what you see, be here next year. Talking to someone and I got a free beer, but it's the end of the day and it's a swamp meet, so whatever. Cheers.
I end my day by watching the incredible Wall of Death riders, which fittingly rounded out another packed day of action at B&D.
So it's Sunday, the third and final day of AMA Vintage Days, and today I'm going to be taking part this morning on a trials bike. Now we've got a 1974 RL Suzuki trials bike here. Trials is about going slow, intricate controls, getting over obstacles, keeping your balance, doing tight turns, things I'm not really used to doing. So trials is new to me, but I did have a trials bike when I was a little kid, very similar to this, so it brings back some good memories. But yes, let's get down to the trial section and see what it's all about. What I'm doing now is the tyre pressures for the trials are super low. I've been told 6 psi, which is hardly anything. Right now I've got 16, so I think I'm a little bit on the high side. Seems very low, the tyre's almost flat. I guess that's how it gets its grip, the tyre getting onto obstacles and forming around things, so quite interesting.
So this year is over 100 riders in trial. So that's huge for this event. Trial 8.
So I'm getting some tips there from a young kid who's basically telling me obstacles, try and get at least 3/4 of the way up them with the front wheel so it pops the front wheel up and over. Hey, what's the worst that could happen? Thanks, buddy. Yeah. Appreciate it. Oh, you're going over these logs like it's nothing. I'm very nervous. Okay, so here we are at our first section. We basically all roll in together, and then around this corner we get separated into what group we're in. Here goes the kids in the youth section, which is basically the easiest line, and also for the novices they'll be doing that. I've signed up for the clubmen's, which unfortunately is a little bit more challenging. I go across the rocks here. If I was intermediate or expert, I'd also be trying to get over this tree just to get out of this section. Look at this little kid.
Good job.
Good job, buddy. That's some awesome work right there, my friend.
Thanks, man.
My first go at the trial section was absolutely petrifying, and this wasn't what I was used to. Trying to go slow, and I was useless and made a right mess of the whole section. I even couldn't get over that small log at the end, which I watched a kid do just before me. Oh, it was a total embarrassment, and the humiliation couldn't end soon enough. The maximum score you can get in trials is a 5, and I got a 5. Oh well, I guess things can only get better from here.
There's one right there between those.
And luckily they did. After relaxing a little, I fared a bit better next time, and somehow I ended the section without putting a foot down.
My first clean score. It's probably the only one I'll do.
As the sections went on, the more comfortable this intricate riding became, and suddenly, trials became a lot more fun.
I'm starting to like these trials. Another clean.
But my course was easy. What was really impressive was watching the expert riders just float over these rather daunting obstacles. After the crawling speeds of the trial sections, I would then head back to the road racing track for one more go. This time, to ride a very special motorcycle that was over 85 years old.
So we got done with the hare scrambles, the road racing, the motocross and the trials. What's left? Well, we might as well do a demo lap on an 85-year-old Indian. I've got to use the clutch with my foot, shift gears with my hand. I've never ridden a bike like this before, so very unique and I'm looking forward to it. Here we go, hand shifting on an 85-year-old Indian.
Once out on track, I found the handshift okay, but my biggest issue was this foot clutch, especially when wearing big motocross boots. But with each shift and corner I got a bit more comfortable, and it was loads of fun passing the more modern machines. how riding all of these different vintage motorcycles over this awesome 3-day meeting had just been a great experience, and it definitely gave me a new appreciation for these older machines. Ending it by riding a pre-war Indian was truly amazing. So that's a wrap. AMA Vintage Motorcycle Days is once again over, and hasn't it been fantastic? This is 3 days of motorcycling fun. We've done hair scrambles, road racing, motocross and trials, but there's also been the pit bike challenge, the swap meet. This place is amazing. I've really enjoyed myself this year. I hope you have too, and if you like what you see, be here next year, because I sure will be. Fantastic. That was an epic weekend of motorcycling, but before I leave town, we've got to definitely go have a burger. So let's do that. Foodie Champions. After an action-packed weekend where I certainly felt like I'd burnt off a few calories, I then went on and ordered the biggest burger on the menu, adding bacon, some cheese, a few onion rings, and then a side of fries. Oh yes, a tasty end to a brilliant weekend of motorcycling. So if there's one thing to take from all of this, and that's that I encourage everyone to go out there and buy some old machine and then race it. You'll have a blast. There you have it, that's a swap meet. Look. Look at this thing. This is going to go easy on me.
This is my
Where
first.
did you grow up?
Where? Yorkshire.
How is this your first trial?